Have you failed at anything in your life? Great, then this podcast is for you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again for joining us on the Elevate from Failure podcast. I'm your host, Jan Smith. I'm the owner of Brody Blog. We're a boutique marketing agency. I have with me Trina. We're going to talk about identity, the things that we've been programmed with, emotional mastery. So, welcome to the show, Trina.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so if you're new to the show, it's called Elevate from Failure. So every episode we talk about the things that we've dealt with in our lives where we felt like we were a failure and how we've overcome them, or examples, or maybe the things that we're still working through because progress isn't linear, as we all know. Things that we've grown up with our life. So if you maybe want to talk about kind of where you draw your inspiration from for what you provide for people and kind of your mission.
Yeah, well, so my childhood was very confusing. And I say that because it didn't like outside looking in, I had like, a lot of love and a lot of support. And at the same time, it was almost like children raising children. My mom was very young. Her mom
Mm.
was very young. And so, from a structure standpoint, there wasn't a lot of structure. And so that was a very big challenge growing up.
Mm.
Um, and I ended up going through parts of my life where I had depression, I had anxiety, I had PTSD, and really it was just all this like this compact kind of result of not really understanding my emotions and what was going on with me, and kind of just in this almost, I would say, people pleasing mode. Like I just wanted to make my mom happy. I wanted to, love on my family. And I feel like through that conditioning, I kind of lost sight of what was important to me. And it was
Mm.
just kind of being human, like growing up and not really knowing the structure of values and all of that stuff. And so that was a huge challenge point, and that's kind of why I do what I do now, is because our mind and how we operate through the world, we can get like mental health is such a big thing right now.
Mm.
And a lot of the time people kind of get into, oh, there's something wrong with me. It's like, no,
Mm.
no, no, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just the process of like not taking a look at what's going on in your thoughts and maybe them being a little disorganized. And it's actually, there's a reason why we think the way we think, we feel the way that we feel. And yeah, that's kind of how it started.
It is difficult when you kind of have that awareness that, hey, I think I've been a people pleaser for most of my life, and kind of where that stems from. That could be difficult to kind of digest and deal with. Talk about PTSD because I guess in the US, are you where are you from, by the way? Where are you based?
I'm Canadian.
Oh, okay. We're in Canada. We're in Canada.
I'm in British Columbia, Victoria.
Oh, nice, nice. I have friends from Toronto.
Oh, no, I grew up in Toronto.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. I was
Yeah.
a big Degrassi fan. Sorry, I
Oh.
went there.
Good show. Good show.
It is a great show. But yeah, I think when people think about PTSD, and they may think of veterans or people from the battlefield, or like cops, firefighters. But actually, if you've been in a narcissistic relationship, you could have those effects. So when you talk about PTSD, can you give examples of what that feels like or what that could be in the moment?
Yeah, of course. And in case anyone's listening that doesn't know, PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And so the way that I like to explain it is, when something traumatic happens to us, we our brain, it clocks that moment because we want to try and keep ourselves safe, right? The brain's main function is either to keep us safe or it's to gain pleasure, or desire. It's to help us like achieve our goals. And so when you go through a traumatic event, your brain clocks that, and it clocks it through the senses of, what am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? And so that's where we can get triggers, is by associating to anything that kind of has that relation, right? So
Mhm.
if you have this traumatic event where, if it's, if most people think of, like you said, in a war field or something, right? Those loud sounds that could relate to gunshots or could relate to bombs. Even if it's just somebody in a truck and they put something down, but it has a similar sound, that
Mhm.
then the brain registers, and then it kind of takes them back to that moment. And that's kind of the function of what happens, right? So when you're talking about narcissistic relationships, which, you know, or relationships maybe that have the patterns of narcissism, the patterns where there's been some kind of abuse, anything that you link to that abuse, whether it is a sound, a sight, it could be like the tonality of someone's voice, it can take you back to that memory,
Mhm.
right? It's when people talk about the smells, and like you smell someone's cologne and
Ugh.
it reminds you of someone's person, right? Like the senses can take you back to those memories.
Mhm.
And that's what will release the panic, and it'll bring you back into this. It's almost like you're back in that memory, right? And so when you have those moments, for myself, I used to have panic attacks all the time because I was linking everything to a specific memory. And then the more I did it, the more because I didn't realize, I just thought there was something wrong with me. Right. And
Mhm.
I just continuously was like, why is my body reacting this way? Why am I all of a sudden, like, I'm outside supposed to go and meet my friends inside for someone's birthday, and I'm outside having a panic attack? Like,
Mhm.
what's happening? And it was like, oh, I'm creating all these associations to these events. And the interesting thing about trauma is, it doesn't have to be a an event where there's violence and guns, and it could be something that you've made up in your mind. And one of the things that I like to, or that I've been playing with trauma, is when your belief system gets totally derailed, right? Like,
Mhm.
when you think about someone who is experiencing narcissistic abuse in a relationship, a lot of the time it's like, oh, okay, I'm safe here, I'm safe here, I'm safe here, and all of a sudden something the partner does now has ruptured that belief system, and that is the trauma.
They confuse your reality type of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're because we're all living our own realities, right? Like, I have a
Mhm.
reality and you have a reality, and it's this beautiful thing. And the moment that our reality kind of gets questioned and it gets disrupted, it can be, if it's not in line with where we're going,
Mhm.
or if it's something that we don't want to look at, it can be traumatic, and it doesn't have to necessarily be guns or violence. Like, it could just
Yeah.
be it could be just a disruption of even who we are in our identity.
Mhm. Someone went through or was the, I guess, victim of a narcissistic relationship. We'll just say, you know, two people in love type of thing. And then the other person forms a new relationship or has a new relationship with somebody who is emotionally available and more compassionate, but they have those triggers. What can they do in that moment? Do you recommend, like, maybe going to another room and just kind of collecting yourself, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different strategies to this. The biggest thing that you want to get clear on is the outcome, right? The outcome is for you to have a secure relationship with this partner that you're building. And a lot of the time, when we're in these reaction loops and when we're in these modes where um, we're kind of getting derailed and, being triggered and acting as if we're in that moment, it's because there's an identity piece too that
Mhm.
we've connected. Usually when, and I can't say usually, everybody's different. But when it comes down to relationships, there's usually some sort of voice inside that's like, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. What am I doing to encourage this? Like there's some sort of self-blame, self-shame that's happening. And so what we need to do is become aware of the stories that we're telling, because we can't create new stories without actually acknowledging and appreciating where the original one came from. Because a lot of the time people are like, no, 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 I don't want to feel this way. And then they just kind of push it down and avoid it. And they're like, okay, I'm just gonna, yeah. And then like, exactly. And that's where the explosions come from. That's where the overreactions come from. It's like, it's not an overreaction. It's you react. It's the built up reaction of you not actually dealing with the emotion as it's coming up. So getting clear on what it is that you want from the relationship. And this is also going to help you establish that the patterns that you're displaying in reaction aren't in alignment with that, right? So when like this, I had an instance where I was in one of these patterns of I really wanted to have this connection with this human, except my old triggers just kept coming up. And I could see it. It was like my triggers were triggering him and his triggers were triggering me. And we were just in this loop. And I was like, this is not going to be useful. Right.
Yeah.
And so just getting really clear. And it's, your physiology, what you're focused on, and the language patterns that you're repeating in your head. There's this whole idea behind the emotional states that we bring. And so, if you're in an excited, like feeling hopeful and feeling joyous and like you have every like faith in the relationship, that's a very different, you're going to bring a lot of different strategy and a lot of different energy to the relationship than if you're in fear and doubt.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a fun place to be in an anxious, fearful, doubtful place in any part of your life. So
yeah,
that's
no.
very true.
No,
So,
and when
yeah,
we're
go ahead.
acting from, when we're like in that survival mode, like when we're in this space, we're not acting from our heart, right? Like we're not able to show up in the way that we want to show up, because it's like right now we're like, the goal is to stay safe. But obviously in a relationship, that's likely not the goal that you actually want to lead with. And it's, you want to have the connection, you want to be able to trust each other and create that. And so it's just becoming aware is the first thing. And then there's a breakdown of patterns that can help you.
Well, thank you for those tips. I kind of want to talk about identity a little bit, and well, I think this is kind of related, but for example, when I was growing up, I was always told that I was too sensitive. So kind of bringing up anything that I was concerned with was like a no-no. Um, and I've noticed as I've learned throughout my healing journey that that is quite common when people with, I guess in a narcissistic kind of relationship, that too sensitive or too emotional type of thing, that's what you're called. So growing up and into like high school and everything, and even to adulthood, that's like the identity that I stuck with, even though like in my gut, I knew that, I should be allowed to express my feelings and bring something to someone's attention if I don't feel like it's right for me. So what do you say about that? Like when you kind of either maybe you're not aware, like you're just kind of like you accept that, I am kind of sensitive and maybe I'm the problem, or like maybe I should be more chill or whatever.
And the nice thing is I feel like we all go through that, and it's part of being human. I am definitely too much. I know that. And it's now something I'm proud about. And one thing that because it's all the way that you look at it, right? It's the meaning that you attach to it. The people that were in your life likely did not know how to handle emotions as well as you did, right? And the thing with identity is, when we have that label that I'm too much,
Mhm.
then when we start to go express ourselves, what do? We
Yeah. Yeah. So many times, even like in like recent relationships, I've just not said anything. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I don't want to rock the boat type of thing. But then like I've just kind of realized like this is literally how I was conditioned. And that actually like staying silent was hurting my relationship.
If you're an entrepreneur, you can do a lot on your own. But with a reliable team on your side, you can go even farther. I'm the owner of Brody Blog, and we are a full-service marketing team. Whether it's increasing sales for your business or making sense of the analytics from Instagram, Facebook, and so on, we can help grow your business, therapy practice, or charity by developing a strategy with the media channels that align with your highest goals. Whether you want to take your business to new heights or have a passion project that you want to transition into a business, having the right team will help you to reach your goals while actually saving you money. For a complimentary consultation, send us an email at this address and follow us on these social channels. Thank you for tuning in to the Elevate from Failure podcast. Now here is the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
So
And like, what type of relationship are you looking for?
uh, commitment
Commitment. Okay, great.
and communicative, which is
Yeah.
what I was not doing.
Right. And like that's the thing is we'll be like, we'll come up with these solutions, but the solutions are based on these identity labels that we didn't even ask for,
Yeah.
right? Like you didn't ask to be labeled as too much. You were just expressing yourself,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, well, wait a second. Why am I being? And you said it beautifully. What did you say? You said, why shouldn't I be able to express myself if that's something that I need? Right. And I think a lot of the time, what people get confused with is they'll express themselves to prove a point.
Mm-hmm.
They'll express themselves to be like, well, I'm just like, you can't hold me and and here's the thing. And again, this is something I had like this beautiful experience with someone who is on the other end of the spectrum, right? So there's too much and not enough, right? The
Mm-hmm.
two beliefs that are running the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so usually the people who are too much attract the people who believe that they are not enough, or we can call them narcissists, and we can call them anxiously attached. We can call them avoidant, whatever labels we want to add
Mm-hmm.
to these people. But really, there's fears under there. I'm too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And the people who are, or in my experience, because I would attract the avoidant because I was the anxious. And so what I started to notice was, I'm too much. They're not enough. But that's neither here nor there. These are two different strategies
Mm-hmm.
of trying to survive in a space that didn't feel safe for each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we both want love, we both want connection, and we both have different beliefs that are pulling each other together, but also pushing each other away.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to decide to step out of my story
Mm-hmm.
and see his story. And it doesn't mean that we should be together. Right.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of being able to look at, when somebody is treating you a certain way, and when the minute that we start to tell ourselves, they're a narcissist, they're anxious, they're avoidant, the minute we put a label on them, we've put them in this box.
Mhm.
And that's how we stay safe, right? Because we're trying to make sense of the world.
Mhm.
But it's the same box that we're putting ourselves in by saying, well, I'm too much, right? Because there's
Mhm.
rules to being too much. There's rules to being a narcissist. There's rules to being a anxiously attached person. Like we've created these rules. And so for us to get clear about what boxes we live in. So if it's the I'm too much box, it's like, okay, well, how is that benefiting you?
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. And how is it holding you back? Like, what does it hold you back from when you believe that?
Play the blame game, like, oh, it's them. But then when I kind of sit with it, it's like, wait, like there are things I could have done differently. And like maybe at times I was like overcompensating. And like, yeah, like at when I realize it's not serving me to like buy into what I've been told most of my life. Even though, like
Well,
again, in my gut, I knew wasn't the truth.
it's beautiful though, because like, you're like, hey, wait a second, like I want to speak out, like I want to express myself. And the beautiful thing about awareness is once we can see it, be
Mm-hmm.
like, my emotions aren't too much. Like they're
They're
perfect just
normal.
as they are. Yeah. That's where we start, and like to take the action against an identity that we've held for a long time, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, because facing something unknown is scary, right? So is that why a lot of people like kind of uh, repeat the cycle or like maybe go back to somebody even though they feel within their body this person is a bit toxic because like
Yeah,
they're
well,
afraid of the unknown or like maybe they don't know how to change or make a change or something like that.
they're afraid of the unknown. Like every new thing is scary, right?
Yeah.
And however, my mentor says this phrase, and it's the strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with who we believe we are, right? So, for instance, for me growing up, when I was in this dynamic with, people who leaned more towards avoidant patterns,
Mhm.
it was, I realized after it was because I had a fear of abandonment. So I never wanted to abandon somebody.
Mhm.
And that was part of my identity. Like I was very, very loyal. And I was loyal because abandonment was a fear and I didn't want other people to experience it. So it comes from this beautiful place, right? It's not like I need you. Like it's this space that's like, oh, okay, like there's a reason behind it. However, I didn't realize that by holding loyalty to them, I was abandoning myself.
Mhm.
And so it's that reflective mirror of being able to like take a step back because again, my personality is to be loyal. And so how
Mhm.
can I still remain true to that? Because it's not like, well, I don't want to not be loyal. Like
Mhm.
that, I don't want to break that identity piece, like that I'm proud of, I'm loyal.
Mhm.
However, I need to come first. Like I need to be loyal to myself. And if I'm not being treated right,
Mhm.
and then I'm saying it's in the name of love, it's like, well, wait a second. And so it's
Yeah.
getting clear about the stories that we tell about ourselves, about other people, about, what is happening in the dynamic that we've created, because every story that we have
Mhm.
is an opportunity to lean into to give us more fuel towards our dreams and our goals, or it's an
Mhm.
opportunity to unravel because it's holding us back.
That's so beautifully said. I want to talk about emotional mastery and what that actually looks like because we've talked about kind of when we're in the thick of it and kind of when we've reached awareness, but when we've progressed towards emotional mastery, or maybe when we've become the master, or maybe an alchemist, is another word. What does that look like, and what does that look like whether it's within yourself or within a relationship or even work?
Yeah.
Sorry, I love the question.
So it's a great question. From like a simple idea of what emotional mastery looks like, it's being able to become aware of your emotions without letting them drive the bus.
Mhm.
Right? You can see the anger, you can see the frustration, you can see the excitement, the sadness, but that's not what's making your decision.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the time when we get angry, we act on it.
Mhm.
A
Yeah.
lot of the time when we get sad, we act on it, or we don't act at all because we're sad, right? A lot of the
And
time when we're,
paralysis a little bit.
yeah, overwhelm is
Mhm.
what someone said this beautifully in a book that I was reading. Overwhelm is actually just a bucket emotion. So it's
Mhm.
the reason we're overwhelmed isn't overwhelm is an emotion. It's a bucket of like fear, anxiety, stress. Like, so you kind of got to pour out the bucket and take a look at everything that's
Ah,
going on.
yeah. That's a nice
And so,
analogy. Or yeah.
yeah, because it's like I'm overwhelmed. It's like, well, with what? It's like, oh wait, there's probably a lot of stuff going on. And so from a simple standpoint, it's being able to look at that from like a mastery level. It's being able to look at the emotions, seeing what's there, and then saying, okay, well, what do I want? And what emotions are going to help me get there? And
Mhm.
how do I call them in?
Mhm. Ah, that's amazing. That's definitely goals.
That's alchemist level. Yeah.
Uh, so, so what are the steps? And maybe you can kind of segue into what you offer, what you do for people. But when someone realizes that they're kind of the empath, that they're very empathetic, they kind of they feel a bit more deeper. Maybe they do have trauma, but they're working towards it. So from that towards an alchemist, what does that path look like, and how did they get there? Pretty much.
Yeah. So,
And feel free to let people know what you do. And yes, sorry.
so I'll quickly share on what I do and then I'll get into the
Yeah.
empathy part of it. So I am a mindset and strategy coach. I help people work with their emotions and understand not only what's going on,
Mm,
but also how to be more in control or utilize them to their advantage. A
mm,
lot of the times, like I said, the emotions are running the bus. We can get into labeling our emotions, which when you label an emotion, if you think about it, an emotion is your body kind of expressing how it feels about a certain situation, and that feeling is based on the stories that you have, the beliefs and everything that's running the show,
ah, yeah.
right? And so when you judge that emotion, so if you're like, oh, anger's bad,
Mm,
like we don't want to be angry because I'm a woman and I was taught to be calm and just collected, and anger's not okay. You're
yeah.
actually taking that experience and you are judging it. And when you judge something, there's an element of shame. And that's why, we get caught up into like, we talk about how everybody's very sensitive nowadays, and comedians can't even go on the stage without getting, canceled because everyone's really triggered by what they're saying. And
Mm,
it's because they're creating stories about this, the jokes that are happening, and they're making it about them, and there's a lot of shame involved. And
mm,
so it's about I help people understand their emotions, work with them in terms of removing judgments, removing labels, and really seeing them for what they are, which is signals.
mm,
Because emotions, it's just the meanings that you attach to them, and being able to then utilize those signals as resources in order to move forward. I work with a lot of people who are like mission based, that want to create kind of like leadership environments, and working with people who want to step into leadership because
right.
when you want to lead a team and you want to be in that space, there's a lot of emotions that you're dealing with as an individual,
Hmm.
but then also you're leading. And so
Yeah.
having the ability to be able to navigate both is very important. For the empathy question that you asked, so how do you go from somebody who's being
Sorry,
kind of,
automatic lights.
ooh, that's fun.
Every
How do
episode.
you how do you go from being somebody who is empathetic to I guess an alchemist, and like it's still the same thing. It's just the levels, right? So
Mhm.
empathy at a point where you view it as a problem,
Mhm.
to empathy where you view it as a superpower.
Ooh.
And that's really the transition of what,
Mhm.
I would take somebody through. And that's, okay, here you go. You've got your empathy, you've got your emotions. The reason that you actually are having a challenge with it isn't because you're empathetic, it's because how you view this talent that you have.
Mhm.
And so it's uncovering that, uncovering, okay, well, these are the different emotions, these are the different superpowers, this is how it could mean, this is, going into understanding the emotions, the signals that are coming up, and then also how to call on different emotions versus how to just be witness to an emotion rather than judging it, react.
Ooh. That would be great to just, even when you feel triggered, or even when you feel like, okay, this is what I've been kind of, how I've been acting as a pattern, to just kind of, to witness it, basically, like to witness either like anger or sadness or whatever, and not be fully engulfed in it. That's really beautiful. That's wonderful.
And a big
So we
step to that is breathing.
ah breath work. So we have about 5 minutes, but I do want to talk about breath work. And obviously with a professional like yourself, people can learn the tools for that. But do you also recommend like meditation, or even like apps like Calm or something like that?
So here's the thing, because of how I grew up, like I was very against traditional learning. I was very like my childhood was hard was because I was like I couldn't listen to people. I can All of our brains are wired differently.
Mhm.
So is meditation great? Yeah. Do I say go do this app, go do this app, go do this app? It'll just depend on the person. And it's
Mhm.
just really getting understanding about what the exercise is and why. And if you want to be in your own creative space and figure that out, that's great. Meditation is really great for one. Breath work is one of the only things that we can do intentionally to call us into the present. Like you can't
Oh
breathe in the
wow.
future. You can't breathe in the past. That's
Mhm.
why breath work is important, because it brings you to the present moment.
Mhm.
And so when you're meditating and you're doing that breath work, you notice the emotions come. And then again, when you're coming back to that breath work, you're allowed to let it go because it's
Ah, that
emotions are,
motion is past technically, yeah. And then when
well,
you
it could be
breathe, it's
future.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Right. But usually,
Yeah.
like the present moment, that's just grounded. You're in that moment.
Mhm.
Whereas the emotion is the meanings that you're attaching to it. So usually it's okay, you're either projecting a future that's based on your past, or you're thinking about the past and it's coming in.
Ah, well, that's beautiful. Please let us know. Please let everyone know where they can find you. And of course, all your information will be in the description box below for everyone to find you on socials. But yes, where can people find you, and any offers that you have, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so I'm actually building out my program right now, but you can find me on Instagram, and it is Trina Paper. So Trina Trina, and then Paper Paper. It's my full name is on Instagram, but that's my handle. And then Facebook as well is Trina.Parnell in the end link. And then I've included them in the bio that will be below. And I do have a free Facebook group. It is called Unbound, Creating a Life Without Limits.
Ooh, I
And
love that.
free. And so I will go in there weekly with live workshops. And so if people want to join that, it is a free Facebook group. So there's no charge on that. And then my programming and my coaching right now, it is one-on-one. But I do have a coaching program that I'm working on and will be released hopefully at the end of February.
Oh, it's exciting. So you work with people kind of all over the world, or
Yeah,
is,
all through Zoom, all through virtual. And then I do consulting as well for teams and businesses.
oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, so thank you so much, Trina, for being on this episode. It flew by. The
It
time
did.
just
It
went
did
whoosh.
because it's fun.
But thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I personally learned so much from YouTube, from TikTok. Um, Resources like this are so impactful. They kind of changed my life. So I hope that this episode will help somebody in the audience. But again, reach out to the show. Reach out to Trina if you would like more help from her. And please like, comment below for any questions, comments, and subscribe. Again, thank you, Trina, for coming on. I hope you have a great rest of the month and of the week, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.